Hello and welcome to week 5 unit 4 localization toolkit. In the previous unit I gave you some certain important aspects of localization. With this unit let's see how to leverage the capability of localization toolkit and address a customer requirement where a standard country version of ByDesign is not made available. So what is a localization toolkit? The localization toolkit is a set of tools built into SAP Business ByDesign and to the SAP Cloud Application Studio. This enables SAP partners and customers to extend and adapt the capabilities of SAP Business ByDesign solution to provide a locally compliant solution. Some of the tools are part of the ByDesign configuration, some are extensibility capabilities like the extension fields, and some are operated using the SAP Cloud Studio. Therefore, SDK and ByDesign configuration capabilities goes hand in hand here. The localization toolkit was designed to support the subsidiary and internationalization strategy from SAP customers. Thus, it is mainly applied, if required, to extend and configure the system for two categories: pre-localized countries, which can be scoped and in which SAP offers partial localization features, and the tax basic countries, countries with minimum enablement by SAP as required by customer requirements to satisfy local legal and tax reporting regulation. The result is that enabling a country for a customer or subsidiary is typically easier than implementing a country localization. Country localization can be achieved via a multi-customer solution or a one-off solution using the Cloud Application Studio. We saw how the toolkit enables the partners and customers to adapt the ByD solution to address the legal requirement. In this slide, you will see certain important topics of localization toolkit. First step will be to install this Cloud Application Studio for developing a country specific localization add-on. Secondly, what you need to do is SAP provides a country specific questionnaire template to support the requirement gathering to localize a country. Identify the requirements based on this questionnaire. This will give you an overview of the requirements and business areas as well. To localize a new country in SAP Business ByDesign, you need to create the country and define the new accounting principle in the general ledger in the add-on created. Few of the topics covered under general ledger are country activation accounting principles, chart of accounts, financial reporting structures, set of books, etc. With respect to tax calculation, we already saw in the previous units that SAP offers tax basic content in more than 115 countries. In addition, using the localization toolkit capability, you could create tax content for a non-localized or tax basic country to fulfill the taxation requirements. You could create product tax, withholding tax, deferred tax, etc. And again, as part of tax reporting, VAT returns, tax books, etc. With respect to fixed assets, you can track the life cycle from acquisition till the retirement of a fixed assets using this. Depreciation, configuration, valuation and postings are also included under the topic of fixed assets. When I talk about invoicing topic, one could get the invoicing forms, customer invoicing number, customer supplier down payment, etc. Hiring employees in a non-localized country, time recording can be achieved as part of the HCM topic. Expense reimbursement of employees in non-localized countries using the generic country version is supported by expense and reimbursement management in ByDesign. Now let me talk about the taxation aspects in within localization. Taxation is a key topic in localization. Many a times customers and partners have queries how the taxation part can be handled for a pre-localized or tax basic country. A tax code is a combination of tax type, a tax rate type, tax event. For you to automatically determine the taxes, a tax decision tree needs to be created as part of the Cloud Application Studio. Now let us see today as part of the demo what is the scenario that we would like to cover. We are trying to define a new country in the toolkit, create tax type and tax rate type for the defined country, defining the tax events, creating the tax codes in the studio, and we are going to use the standard calculation procedure of input VAT. So let us jump into the system and see how this works in the Cloud Studio. Here I am in the Cloud Application Studio. I have already created a solution specifically for this, which says product tax in development solution, and as you can see, there are already certain BC sets which are created as part of my solution. So, as I already mentioned in the previous slide, the first thing is we are going to define a country as part of the solution. So, here as part of the demo, I am going to define the tax content for the country Argentina, which is already a tax basic country from SAP, but I want to introduce value added tax with 5% from the product tax as part of the demo. So, as I can see, you already have the BAC element created and an accounting principle. So, let me just show you what I have created. So, now you can see I have opened the accounting principle here. I have given the description as Argentina accounting principle. What you should remember is you need to create several BC sets as part of your solution. So, here I am going to select the SAP BCO, SAP Standard Delivered Business Configuration Object, or BCO. For accounting principle, let me choose accounting principle, and as part of the field values, let me show you what I have entered here. So, as part of the accounting principle, you need to give a accounting principle. Remember that you should also be aware of what should be the value you should give here. It should not really conflict with what the values SAP provide from the standard. And determination of GL general ledger movement is what you should give next. Posting and rolling profiles is what you should do next, and then the AP AR reclassification. So, these are very simple steps that you just need to give the validity dates and regrouping method, and the remaining steps are optional. You need not have to go to low value asset. These are the steps that you need to mandatorily provide as part of the accounting principle. Now, with that, you can see I also have a BAC element created here, where I have already defined my country Argentina as part of it. So, now there is Argentina country version. You can also see the accounting principle. If I just go to the change business, I will be able to see what is it that I have given the business option. So, I am not going to create anything since I have already created and kept it. I just wanted to show what is part of the BAC element. So, you should also understand that as part of the BAC element, I have a scoping question to scope whether you should use the product tax for Argentina. So, once this is done, the next step is to create several BC sets, as I already mentioned. So, to define a new tax content for Argentina, I should first create a BC set. I name it as tax type, and then it comes up here, no partner defined BCOs. That is completely okay, because we are going to use the SAP BCO, and you can give any tax type, any description here, and choose from here the BCO, standard BCO, which is tax type. So, once you select this, you get a fair description about what the standard BCO does, and then you can just simply click on next, and here what you need to do is to enter the values that needs to be here as part of this. Okay, now here, so here for the first step is to select the country code. I just need to select Argentina, that is what I do, and I can simply mention some code. It can be anything as you wish, and the category, whether it is a product tax or a withholding tax. So, in our scenario, I just simply say VAT. And the next is the tax rate type. In the next step here, I can simply choose the country code Argentina, and the type code has already come because you defined it in the previous step, and the code here may be 101, and then I can just simply set a standard and make the selection as standard. Exemption reason, exemption rate is not mandatory here, you can leave it blank. I just click on next and then review it. If you need to make any correction, you can go back and do it and just finish it. I will not finish it now because I already have a tax type created, so I will cancel it for now. And this is exactly what I have created as part of my tax type. I can just show it to you, the data that we are trying to enter. This is exactly what I have maintained it here now. So, in the field values, you can see I have mentioned the code, product tax, VAT, rate type also has been mentioned. So, once this is done, you are done with the first step of the tax content creation, which is your tax type you have created. Next is you can go to the tax rate. Again it is a BC set, you are using SAP BCO, which is of the name tax rate. Something similar to what I just showed you. A wizard comes up, you just need to enter the right values there. In this step we are going to define what is the percentage of tax that you want to include as part of the new tax type that you defined. So 5% is what I have defined here. It is just one step here to define the tax rate. I have already created it. I have mentioned the validity date. The tax rate gets picked from the previous step. You just need to, it is a drop down, you just need to select that. Even the tax type also comes from the tax type you already created and activated. Now remember, once you create each of these BC sets, it is important that you need to activate them. And next is your tax event that I create. Okay, so you can see that it is again a BC set. I provided the necessary values here, and here it is part of the event. It is important to mention whether it is an incoming or an outgoing, whether it is based on your scenario, which is a purchase or a sales. And in the tax type determination, you have to see whether the due category is a payable or a receivable, and if you need to mention any tax exemption reason, you can do it. It is not mandatory though. And again, tax calculation procedure, you could have seen it in my PowerPoint, that in the scenario that we are going to use the input VAT, which is my standard tax calculation procedure. So we are good with this. Now the next thing is tax code creation. So it is yet another BC set that you need to create, and tax code is nothing but a combination of the 3 BC set that you created, which is nothing but the tax type, rate and event. So if you go here, it is again SAP BCO called as product taxation characteristics. You go to the field values. Now you will see how you are going to use all the values that you created in the previous BC sets in this assigning the tax types. So here, as part of tax code, you already created, sorry, the tax code assigned tax type, Argentina VAT standard is what I am using. I am not using any deductibility code here, but as part of tax code you are going to mention the type, event type, which is nothing that is coming from the tax event that you mentioned, and the tax code. I am just giving a description here. So once this is done, you have to ensure that all of these BC sets are activated, and ensure that you activate also the BARC element, and then do a deploy business configuration by right clicking on the solution. So for me, if this is done already, you can see the files are activated. I have already deployed my BC. Let me go to the UI and see what next. So here I am in the UI. So the first step is to show you, as part of the demo, what is it I have done so far. So basically now you want to go and see the BARC element that you have deployed. You have an Argentina country version. Ensure that this is part of your scope. You just want to show it to you that this is already selected. Now you could see here Argentina. It is prefixed by your solution namespace YGX11. This is what exactly what you have, your solution is YGX11 SOBY, and this is what I have already selected. Yeah. So when you do it, you can go to the edit countries, and then once you deploy this BC, you can see from as part of your solution it gets deployed here, and the country is available for scoping here. So I have already done that, and maybe it does not take long, I can also show it to you as part of the scoping question, since I could not show it to you in SDK. I have already have a scoping question coming from my BARC element, which is, do you want to use the Argentina taxes, which is also selected anyways. Let me just try to show it. So I have anchored it to the accounting principle. If I remember, yeah, there you go. Do you want to use the Argentina accounting principle? It is already in scope. I have done that step as well here. So now let me just come out of it now. So from the business configuration side, we are good. We have done the necessary scoping already. Now What next is, let me show it to you the tax code just to show. I mean, I can go to the business configuration again. One more thing that I want to show it to you. So, you have a BC activity called tax on goods and services. So, once you open this, since you have already deployed your solution, the tax code that is already part of your solution should come and appear here as part of the country Argentina. So, I go and open the activity tax on goods and services, and then I go to the define tax codes. So, here you are, and now you should see all the SAP delivered country where standard tax codes are available as part of this list. So, I just quickly search here for Argentina. There you are, you can see the tax code for Argentina that you have defined as part of a solution has come here. I will just close it, and then now my next thing to show is that I will go and try to create a supply invoice immediately, because this is the purchasing scenario that is showing, and the supplier, let me quickly enter some mandatory fields. MG is my supplier, and I will just say 2019, quickly enter some data here, and then I will just enter a product P202. I think this exists here. Okay, it exists. So, yes, I have entered a product, and I have a quantity here. I am in net price is 10. So, here we are, and I also need to select account assignment type. This is nothing special here, just like a normal supply invoice creation is what I am doing here. Just doing, I will make a solar, and then I go to view all. So, here I am trying to show you the new tax code appears here for the item. So, here in this system, in this tenant, I do not have Argentina master data maintained for the supplier, and the company it is US. So, what I do is I go to the taxes, and automatically United States is determined, but I can still override that and then select Argentina. So, which means the tax codes which I have defined from my solution should appear here. So, just to refresh, I go to the general and come back to items, and there you go, you can see the tax code appearing here, tax code for Argentina. I select that. So, there is an exchange rate missing. Right now, if you go here to the bottom of the screen, you have this taxes. You can see the tax rate type is standard, whatever you have selected here. The tax code for Argentina is a 5% of tax rate that you have created, and you know that it is calculated on the net value. So, 100 USD, and tax amount is 5 USD now. So, now if I go back, so this is correctly getting determined, and then I can also calculate my total amounts. So, which means now you can see the gross amount is 105 USD. So, which means your tax code is correctly working based on the tax event and the tax rate whatever you have given. This is exactly what I want to show you. Now, we will just move back to our presentations. So, we just finished with the demo, and just to summarize. So, with this I come to the end of this unit. To summarize, we covered localization toolkit, important aspects of localization toolkit, little bit about taxation, and in the demo we saw how to define a country and create tax content for a tax basic country using SDK. I hope you enjoyed this unit, and for this class you have the opportunity to practice the exercises. Do try them out. See you again in the next class on performance and debugging. Thank you and have a great day ahead.